Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Leading You. I am feeling a little feisty at the moment because I'm really concerned about the energy that so many of us are living in at the moment when we know better. High achieving, high functioning leaders, female founders who are just constantly pushing through to prove that they can do it, prove to themselves and to prove to others. You don't want to let people see you struggle. So you push through the fatigue, the headaches, the insomnia, the anxiety, and you tell yourself that you've got this because I've always got this. And what's the worst that's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen to me. I can handle this. I'm strong. But the fact is that your body is sending you signs and we are ignoring them. And it's not because we are stupid. It's because we think we're invincible. And we know more now than ever about what burnout looks like. We've read the articles, we've heard the stories. I mean, so many people, even on this podcast, have shared their stories about burnout. And, Flo Marks shared recently about her overachieving strategies that have landed her in a really difficult place. But we hear all of this and somehow we think, I'm stronger, I'm different, I've done this before. And then one day you can't do it. So what happens when that happens? Seriously. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, as I said before, we know more now than ever what burnout looks like. Exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. We can't sleep. We've got that brain fog. We've got that irritability, the dread. We've got physical symptoms going on in our body, whether that be with digestion or something's not feeling right. Your intuition is screaming at you. And also we have that emotional numbness where we've pushed through for so long that this is our normal state. So we've almost become numb to the warning signs. We've read articles, so many, and we've heard the stories and the stats. 63% of women founders are experiencing burnout and mental load. 42 to 43% of female leaders report burnout. That's an extremely high percentage. But somehow we think, I'm stronger, I'm different, it won't happen to me. Ignorance is not bliss here. We're talking about denial now, a conscious choice to deny what could inevitably happen to us. And it might not be now. It might be in the near future or down the track. But the fact is that our bodies cannot keep pushing through in the way that we are demanding it to. And the interesting thing is that the world has changed so much, particularly in these last 2 years. We need to shift how we're operating. These times are demanding something different from us, but we keep operating in the same way that we used to because it's what we know, it's what's worked. We've got evidence that we can do it. And we're not thinking about what do these times demand of us as leaders. So we keep doing the same thing. We keep pushing through. We keep proving ourselves because that's what we feel like we need to do. When things get tougher, when things get harder, we have to prove that we can do it. And we wait for quieter moments. We all almost wait for permission to stop. It's like we're effectively waiting for someone else to say, hey, stop. But of course, then we won't listen to them anyway. We'll keep doing what we do. But the thing that we know instinctually is the body doesn't wait for quiet. It is waiting for you to listen. It is waiting for you to tune in to the signals that it is telling you right now. And the fact is, your body is not trying to sabotage you. It's not trying to get you to come to a full stop yet with the warning signs. It's trying to save you. It is screaming how you are operating, how you are treating me, your supposed temple, is not working. It's not working for me. This is not sustainable. We need to stop and we need to adopt a different strategy, and we need to do it soon. Because when you think about how often you hear about people with chronic fatigue issues now, people with constant headaches, constant tension, gut issues, sleep problems, brain fog, forgetfulness, emotional flatness, or those outbursts where you just don't know where they've come from, like you overreact to the simplest of things. And the loss of joy in the things that you used to love. And most probably because you're not doing them now. And perhaps you're doing them out of a sense of obligation, like you feel you have to do it to please others because you've been pushing through so much professionally. And we often say, I don't have time to listen to the signs. I don't have time to stop. I don't have time to pause. I don't have time to get to the doctors to get this gut issue or this digestion issue or these headaches checked out. I'll rest when it's quieter. I'll rest when I've proven to everyone that I can do what I am doing right now or what I'm striving to achieve. I'll rest when I'm not so far behind. It's really, it can also be a really vicious circle because particularly for women, 90% of women feel solely responsible for their family schedule as well. So that's the invisible tax of mental load. We call that leadership. So there's the family schedule. Then we have the professional gazillion balls that we have up in the air. And then a lot of us are also looking after aging parents in some capacity, whether that be caring for them or, being like a guardian to them, like doing so much more for our aging parents. And that's another responsibility that we have. So that's another group of balls, if you like, that we're trying to keep up in the air. And we can, I suppose, misplace that. We can misplace this over-functioning as a leadership, even though our dynamics have changed. So even if you bring aging parents into the mix, even if you bring in the fact that you now have, you might be a grandparent and you're bringing in grandchildren that come into your life and play a big part, whether it's you have changed roles, your kids are needing more of you, whatever that looks like for you. We go into this over-functioning state. We think it's a leadership, but sometimes it's trauma adaptation. Sometimes the woman who looks the strongest in every room is the one crumbling in the inside. But we look to that woman and think, you're amazing, you're doing everything, you've got it so together. But quite possibly they don't. Your body is probably sending you signs right now and you're ignoring them. So what happens when we keep ignoring these signals? And I'm not making this up. You have heard the stories. Your body forces you to stop. You can't work. You can't parent like you used to. You can't show up. You're not that proud professional. You're not glowing. You're in bed. You're in treatment. You're in panic. Because even though you didn't want to stop, you are now, your body has said enough. We're not doing this. So I will create something that is going to make you stop, and you stop in your tracks. And when that happens, you're no good to anyone. And this is why we really need to be considering what we're doing when we're in this over-functioning, this proving, this push energy. We need to be really considering what that is doing to our life and what that will do to our life. The things that you were protecting, your career, your reputation, your business, suddenly doesn't matter as much anymore as just being able to breathe. And I've shared with you, I have had this experience where I ignored some warning signs for my cancer, which meant that it spread and became aggressive. So I was unable to walk, to function, to be a good daughter to my aging parents, wife for my husband, sister, family, clients who relied on me. Everything came to a stop. And what I don't understand now is we hear so much of this, and it happens so often now, so often. And people are so much better at sharing their stories, but we're still not listening. We still don't believe that it's going to happen to us. Because when it does happen, you ask, what the hell was I doing? What was I protecting? Who was I proving what to? And why did I think I could keep going the way I was going forever? I even look back on my diary now as a reminder. So pre this 6th of October 2021, when I was diagnosed, I look back on my diary that was absolutely jam-packed back to back. And that was in COVID times. How did that happen? And how did I think that was okay? Why did I push through my exhaustion? Why did I do that? Just putting it down to I was exhausted because it was COVID times. No, my body was sending a message. So for you, and not that I want this to happen to anyone, maybe it's a collapse. Maybe you're in bed for weeks and you can't function, you can't lead. Maybe it's depression. That inability to get out of that feeling of numbness. Maybe it's a diagnosis that you do not want. And the thing that got you to this point, even right now while you're listening, the push energy, the prove energy, the don't stop energy, that's the thing that broke you. And not listening to your body, not listening to those signs. And what happens when you do stop is when you're forced to stop, and then you have to ask, what was all that for? Why did I do all that? What what was the point? What was I trying to achieve? And you understand that you're so out of alignment with who you are, what you stand for, your values, how you want to live your life, but you couldn't see it. And I want to make this clear, like this is not about necessarily working less, but it is definitely about leading differently, in a different way, understanding what these times are needing from us now. And it's leading from that place of self-trust, not depletion, from identity, not obligation. It's about listening to your body instead of overriding it. And it's about asking, perhaps, where am I playing not to lose? What am I protecting that is actually holding me back? And this can come back to reputation, trust that a leader might have had in you to put you in a particular role, expectations that you think others have of you that you have hallucinated. You're not actually quite sure what they are. What is required of us in these times has definitely shifted. The pace, the complexity, the expectations, the way we lead, the way we need to show up. It's all different. And operating in the way that we were is not working. And we often are wondering, why. So the question isn't, why can't I keep doing this? The question is, why do I keep trying? And this is not about failing. This is not about outgrowing a version of you that got yourself here. It's about thinking that old code doesn't work anymore. And what you need to do is be shifting into that next version of you that is going to be in align, in cohesion, that is congruent, all of those really fabulous words that we want to be in order to come back to ourselves, in order to reconnect, to reground ourselves and give ourselves permission to pause and reflect and evaluate. It's like that old analogy of, bringing yourself up to the balcony and really reflecting on, what is this moment, this season, these times needing of me? And how can I adapt in the best way possible to support myself and my health moving forward? I think that is probably one of the most empowering questions you can ask. And of course, then implementing that, not ignoring it. When we explore these questions, it's information, it's intelligence. And then we have the choice to do something with it or not. So my final question for you is, where are you pushing through instead of listening? What sign are you ignoring? What cost are you pretending is temporary? And who are you proving this to? And seriously, what happens if you are forced to stop? Where are you still operating as you were? And when what is required of you has already shifted? That's the question, not for me to answer for you, but for you to sit with. So thank you for listening. And I hope that you have received this episode with the intent that I have created it. I don't want to see any more high achieving, high performing leaders, founders burning out, getting sick, getting diagnoses that they don't want, because I have been on the side of that. And I can assure you, you do not want to be in that place. And right now, you have the opportunity to avoid that. That is your choice. So thank you for listening, and I would love for you to share this episode with anyone that you feel needs to hear it. So I look forward to being in your ears for the next episode of Leading You.